Hello and welcome. My name's Anand and you're very welcome to today's video. I'm an emotional wellness coach and I support those who are weighed down by inner struggles that prevents them from really living a full flourishing life, and I help them uncover their inner richness. And it's the aspect of inner richness is what I'm going to explore today. There are many elements that make up inner richness. And the thing about inner richness is that it's there. I'm very deliberate when I use the word uncover, because these elements, this inner richness is already inside of you. It's just that there are things that are getting in the way of you accessing it. But in order to be able to access your inner richness, it's like, well, what does it even mean? What makes up inner richness? And the 7 elements that I'm going to share with you, starting with the first one today, which is courage. Each week for the next 7 weeks, I'm going to dig in and explore each of these elements. And hopefully that will provide you some clarity of, that's what inner richness is. That's what's lying inside of me, and that's what I can tap into. So let's just dig in a little bit more. So I'm going to share with you what I mean by courage. I'm also going to look at the general definition of courage, 1 or 2 quotes, maybe invite you to think about, what does courage mean for you? How does it play out in your life or anyone's life? And what gets in the way? What blocks you from accessing your courage? And what can you do to tap into it? So, to start with, what is courage? And often there's the belief that courage is something very heroic, that the person is fearless and, they're very strong. But I just want to read a lovely little quote I saw, and I thought, this for me sums up courage. And it's from a lady called Mary Ann Radmacher. I hope I pronounced that right. Anyway, so she says, courage does not always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. And that really resonates with me, because it's this ability to keep going. Even when things are tough, when you're scared. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is doing something even when you're really, really scared. When you're shaking and you really don't know what, you don't want to do the thing, or, it feels like a Goliath type situation that you're going to face. And you've no idea of how the outcome's going to be, because courage does not give any guaranteed results. That I can tell you. So the dictionary will say that courage, and there's a few definitions. I checked out Collins, Merriam-Webster and Cambridge Dictionary. But they kind of all point to the same thing. So the Cambridge Dictionary says the ability to control your fear in a dangerous or difficult situation. Now, I don't like that definition. Control, I don't like the word control, even though I'm a controlling person. But controlling it's almost like controlling your fear is like you have to wrestle with it, wrangle it, and, put it in a box somewhere. What I would say is that the courage is the ability to continue to do something, knowing that fear is there, accepting it, recognizing it, feeling all the sensations of fear, but still going. So there's not control. There's just an awareness and an acknowledgement of its existence. Merriam-Webster go, mental or moral strength to venture, persevere and withstand danger, fear or difficulty. Again, I don't like this definition. Mental or moral strength. What the hell does that mean? Like, for me, when I hear the word moral strength, there's a judgment word there. Moral is like, moral according to whom? However, I really like the Collins definition, and that's courage is the quality shown by someone who decides to do something difficult or dangerous even though they may be afraid. And that really resonates with me, because that to me is really what courage is all about. And Scott Peck also gives a lovely quote or a definition. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the making of action in spite of fear. And that's what I'm going to really dig into today. So courage is doing the thing even though you're scared shitless. And it may feel dangerous. It may feel unsafe. It may feel terrifying. Like an example of courage might be you witness something in your workplace. You discuss it or raise it further up, but you have no idea of the outcome or how the company is going to respond. You could risk losing your job. Or courage might be you're seeing somebody being attacked on the street, or they're experiencing racial discrimination, and you step up and you say to the other person, hey, that's out of order, don't do that. But in your mind you're screaming, they could have a knife, they could have a gun, they'll pull it out on me, blah, 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 blah. You have to weigh it up for each case. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm saying that's an example of courage. Another example of courage might be you want to have a conversation with somebody you really love. You know that it will challenge them. But if you don't say anything, they won't know, and you might continue having this build-up of resentment. So you're terrified of speaking to them, you're terrified of their reaction, but you still do it. That is courage. That's another example. Again, you're weighing it up individually for yourself. These are examples of courage. Courage might mean, and courage differs from person to person. It's their ability to do the thing in spite of the fear. For some people, maybe they're terrified of going outside and they have agoraphobia. So courage might mean for them opening the door and looking outside the door. That can be an incredibly courageous act for someone who's terrified. Use an example of my own, and I believe this is one of my most courageous things. Well, no, I've done other courageous things, but this is one of them. I learned to drive. I was terrified of driving. I used to nearly get sick. I'd have panic attacks. I didn't want to drive. I really didn't. But I also didn't want to stay living in a city. So it was like, well, take your poison. So I learned to drive. And yes, every time I got in the car, I could see a million ways how to die. I could absolutely see my own death. So not the most conducive way to learn, but I did it. I pushed through, and I now love driving. Passed my driving test. It took me about 4 or 5 times. I went, that's okay, and I passed my test. I really enjoy driving now. It's an immense joy for me, which is quite something. So courage is different things, but it's doing the thing regardless of the fear. So how can it play out in your life? So it's courage is an inner quality that is translated into action. So it is visible to others, but mostly it's visible to you. So it's stepping up and saying to somebody, I don't accept what you're doing. This is why. This is what I would like. Blah, blah, blah. Or it's challenging something that you see that's harming another. Or it's opening the door when you're terrified, if you have agoraphobia, learning to drive a car, having that conversation, saying no to something that doesn't agree with you, having the courage to kick an addiction, having the courage to face truth, your truth. Wow, that's probably one of the most courageous things I know. So these are examples of them. So what can get in the way of courage? Well, certainly fear is one of them. Fear is probably the biggest thing. But here's the thing about fear. If you say to yourself, okay, I'm not going to do the thing. and you just stay safe, contained, nothing changes, nothing grows. But if you continue to keep doing that, you become stagnant. And then if you continue, nothing moves, nothing grows, nothing happens. And the question is, do you want to stay safe, contained, when nothing happens? It's up to you. You don't have to be courageous. And if you're fine with that, then, courage is just something you can ignore. But if you're sick of being stuck in a golden cage, in actual fact, Osho, this is a lovely quote from Osho. He goes, "My definition of courage is the capacity to drop the golden cage of the mind and to go into the unknown in spite of all the fears, in spite of the insecurity of it all. Only that person who has that quality is religious." So you have a golden cage, it's keeping you locked, it's cozy, it's safe, it's warm, or at least it appears that way, but nothing happens, nothing changes, and it feels a bit dead and it feels a bit stagnant. I often think of like a stagnant pool. It feels like that, and it's starting to get a bit smelly, even though you're saying to yourself, but it's cozy and it's warm. It is. No, it's not. So that is what can block courage. The cozy, fake, golden cage. And fear will keep you there, and the mind will keep you there. So what can you do to move through the fear? So I said earlier about being aware of the fear, feeling its effects, maybe feeling it in your body, feeling it in your breath, connecting with it and saying, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, but I'm still going to move forward. So I'm not going to allow you to hold me back. And interestingly enough, courage is a Latin word coming from the word cor, meaning heart. So, and it's evolved from an old French word meaning courage. And so the heart is the space that you can go to when fear gets really, really dominant. And you really feel it, and you don't want to go forward. You don't want to move forward with the thing. Perhaps maybe close your eyes, move into your heart, and ask it to bring forth courage. And I would share one other thing. From my own personal experience, there are many things that I've done that are courageous, but have been incredibly difficult for me to do. And it took a lot out of me. There's no guaranteed outcome that when you're courageous, you're going to win or you're going to get the thing. I can't go into specifics, but I had the courage to come forward about something that was a criminal act. And I spoke the truth about it. I didn't get the outcome that was hoped for. And that's why I have to be careful in what I say. But I'm grateful I did, because then I could look at myself in the mirror. And I could face myself and know that at least I stepped forward and I spoke up. And that's courage. So there's absolutely no guarantee you're going to get the win that you hope for. But by being courageous, you develop and grow and uncover one element of inner richness. And from there, you start to grow in your own personal power. And you start to value yourself more. That's what courage brings. You can say, well, I listened to my heart. I followed my heart. I took courage. I took action despite the fear. So, if you're interested to learn a bit more about courage, or you want to uncover it or talk about it more, how to grow it more in your life, There are a few ways you can do this. You can subscribe to my newsletter, or you can continue to follow along on this channel and listen to the other elements of inner richness. Or you can book a free insight call with me. We get a 1 hour where you get a taste of coaching. So until the next time, have a lovely day. Bye-bye.